Okay, hello again, Death Cafe friends. We've had a little glitch, a little technical problem. So I may have been sitting here talking to myself and the camera only for the last 15 minutes. But heck, that's the way the thing happens sometimes, and we will clear up our little technical problems. So when we talk, we can really connect with each other. Remember how we do it. For now, go ahead and post your questions. I'll see your questions coming up on the monitor, and we'll answer your questions directly. We come on once every 2 weeks on a Monday at 11 a.m. Trinidad time. We are located in Trinidad and Tobago. Our purpose here is really to help people begin to accept the reality of their death. All of us will die, we know that. And as such, that's a reality. And as such, we should have a level of appreciation and a level of preparation, so that in the event it comes unexpectedly, which so often it does, we are still in a state of preparation. How do you deal with that? How do you sit with your spouse and say, let's talk about our death, our funeral? I like to say, maybe as a family, sit together in the evening hours, sip a little wine or something, have a little snack, and you're sitting and chatting, take off the TV, and just be together. And when both of you are relaxed and said, you know, how would you like to be remembered? That is my most favorite opening line question. How would you like to be remembered? You can add to it, you know, and talk about the person's work life, the person's social life, the person's family life, and said, there's been so much. How would you like to be remembered? And that may sound like we're talking about people who have been some major office, you know. No. The mother who loves to cook, the father who is a gardener. All of those things are things that we need to talk about and find ways to appreciate and honor at the time when we should, as we prepare for our own death. When to do it? I tell people I started with my first will when I was 21. At that time, in the folly of youth, I drove fast and drank fast and everything else. So I made my first will when I was 21. I've made quite a few since then, and I've made sure I always have a will. Because life is life. You never know what can happen. And as such, I want to be sure that those I love are protected from the distress and the cost of attorneys in the event that I die without a will, which is intestate. So that at all times, I recommend to people, get together, sit as a family, talk it through. Don't try to pressure your loved ones about what is in the will. Let that be their business. It will be yours sooner or later when you have to deal with it. But let that privacy happen. If it is they have done nothing, here at Belgroves we have a wills book that we will share with people. Contact us and we will share the will book. If we share hard copy with you, it has a cost. If it is digital, it's free. And use that as a kind of a base foundation, so you can go in and talk with an attorney as you put a plan together. You may say, I have nothing, I own nothing. But you see that old wardrobe, the granny's dresser, that's made out of cedar or mahogany, and everybody like to come and tell Granny how nice it is. That is an antique. That is something. Right? The real estate, insurance policy, investment certificates, all of that, they're important aspect. Somebody is asking about what does it mean to leave a legacy. Legacy is not only what you put there, about assets. Legacy is who you have been, who you are in life, and what have you done. That's your legacy. Of course, what you own and all of that can come in and form part of a will, and there's a legacy issue inside there that has technical and legal terminations to it, the aspects of your will. So those assets form part of your legacy, but your character and the things you have achieved in life is also an important part of your legacy. So to understand your legacy, that free will book I was talking about, it helps you understand what are your assets and what are your liabilities. And the difference between the assets and subtracting your liabilities is your estate, that's your value, that's the financial legacy you will have. Plus, there will always be the legacy of your character. What have you done with this life that the gods, the force, power, however you want to look at it, has given you? So, and from my perspective, I sometimes say that is the most important legacy. So, at all times, make a step towards. At what age should you pre-plan? I was really talking to myself earlier when we had that technical problem, because I talked through some of those back then. I was sharing, I was 21 when I did my first will. And it is always important to have a will. Absolutely important, and at all times you have a will. You're never too young. You reach the age of majority and you've started working, you've bought insurance policies, you've bought a car, granny left you something, your parents left you something, and some form of asset. It is good to say, in the event of my death, I would like these things that I own to go to X person, Y person, so that in such an event, there is no difficulties as to what were your wishes. You may even want to say, how do you want to be remembered? Were you a motorcyclist? Will you like to be placed on your motorcycle? Or were you a pilot? Would you like to sit in the cockpit of a ship plane? Who will you and what would you like? How would you want to be remembered? What is the story that you will want to tell as a eulogy? Those are good things to think about. Who says you can't write your own eulogy? I would have a mind myself, because who else to tell the story about me and about me? So you can write your own as well. So all of those things help. It's always important as well, as I was sharing earlier when we were offline, it's always important. Put aside that funeral fund. And here we call it family legacy. And log on to the Belgroves website, you'll see it. So having that funeral fund is very important. One of my friends in Tobago, in Trinidad and Tobago, because friends, we have an international audience as well, so every now and then I explain. Tobago is a small island, a twin island state of Trinidad and Tobago. So a question from Tobago: can a private family cemetery with crypts be developed in Tobago? Tobago has serious cemetery space problems, and we're dealing with that from this way of a crematorium is going to be opened there soon, this year, and to ease the difficulties for cemetery space. Yes, families could apply if you have enough land space. You could apply to the Ministry of Local Government there in Tobago, the Secretary, and see if it is approved. There are a few private cemeteries in Trinidad. I'm not aware of any in Tobago, but the best of my knowledge is that over the years the government have been frowning on them a little bit. The last one I assisted to do in my many years here at Funeral Service, I assisted families with 3. The last one was about 10 years ago, and those 3 were all approved. They were on the estates of the particular landowners. So you don't need a very large piece of land if you have an acre or so, and you have such a space. Things like water table and all of that, soil type and all of that will be considered, but it is possible. And yes, with crypts, it even make it even a greater possibility as well. So those are some of the things. Somebody asked about what is a peaceful death. That's an interesting question. Why? And some of you can answer some of these questions too. When when I see it up on the monitor, and I state it, you can shoot your thoughts about it. Don't wait for my thoughts alone. While I have a vast experience in funeral service, explored death in mystical ways. Well, I'm not there, so and I've explored death. I sometimes feel it is all about our thoughts and our comments. So as I stop the question, you can throw your own thoughts in up on the monitor, and I will repeat it for others as well. So what is a peaceful death? Somebody's been ill for a while and they know that they're dying. It is good to make peace with your God, however you consider your God. It is good to make peace with your family. It is good to make peace with your spouse. It is good to make all your plans available through a will, or whether you choose to distribute your assets in the living years. And they're talking about making peace in the living years as well. So that when that day comes, when that hour comes, your mind is satisfied and clear. Was the person very religious? Good way to do it. Their favorite songs, religious songs. Whether it's bhajans, whether it's hymns, whether it's conventional songs, whether it's calypsos, what the person likes. Then we can play those quietly and peacefully, so that there can be a peaceful setting as the person crosses from this life to the next life. Yeah, from life to life. So in my opinion, there's no death. However, you have to ask me about that for me to talk about it. So the thing about it, it's good to keep a peaceful setting. I always like to suggest to people, lean into it. So in leaning, you have a better emotional stance as that time comes. So that the wailing and distractions that can occur as somebody crosses over, yeah, I consider it a distraction. The person should be able to cross over peacefully, knowing they have our permission, your permission to cross over. It's okay to say, Mom, go on, cross over. You may see Dad come to meet you. You may see Jesus come to meet you. Or whoever is your faith come to meet you. Some of us who have had that experience of being clinically dead and revived says the white light. Follow the white light. There's a peace in the white light. Follow it. So you want to have a peaceful setting, because as the person crosses over and we are there wailing and expressing our emotions loudly, it could be a distraction, and they begin to focus on those you love, because here this someone I love is in distress. So the person, instead of crossing over peacefully, begins to pay attention to what's happening around them. In love, let our loved ones cross over in peace. It's always best to have that peaceful setting. So, I see one of the things that came in over the weekend is, how will you support a dying friend? In supporting a dying friend, some of what I just shared as well. But death doesn't always come immediately. It could be over a long period of time, chronic illness, or sudden accident, and they are ill and may take a few days before they pass over. The thing is good again. Be peaceful, be serene. Yes, they can see that you're sad that they're passing, because we love. And the bonds we create when we love, when those bonds are broken, they're very difficult to manage. But in love, we should allow the person to recognize that yes, we are saddened by the departure, but that we are also supporting the departure in such a peaceful manner. Encourage a person. Have you settled all of your business? Everyone knows about your bank accounts. Have you dealt with all of these matters, so that there are no distresses left after they die? And I like to use the word die and death, because that's what we're talking about. Helping you recognize death and be able to recognize it and deal with it in a more practical and sensible manner. So, somebody asking again, what is the difference between dignified death and undignified death? Matter of opinion. Homicide may be considered undignified. Well, I definitely do consider it. Suicide may be considered that way. That could be a matter of discussion. We can talk about whether a suicide is dignified or undignified in certain circumstances. Euthanasia could be a circumstance we may want to consider. Consider someone ailing chronically in distress and pain. There's some thoughts that say if you commit suicide, that's the ultimate sin. And there's some thoughts that say it's your choice. Our Maker gave us free choice. What happens when we cross over? After we cross over, when we commit suicide, another discussion, but you have to ask it. But if we're talking things like that, you have to join me and give your thoughts into the conversation as well. Right? I'll give like one-liners, and you will join in and put your thoughts up on the monitor, and we'll talk about it. I will read your thoughts off the monitor and share it with all our audiences, so we can have a conversation. I get into this, talking. I need you to comment as well, so that we can share a little bit. So, and a dignified death. Yes, I talked about ways that you can help people to die a little earlier, a peaceful setting, family and friends at hand, the comfort, keep making the person really comfortable. That's very dignified. Sometimes the situation, as I said, where could have trauma and the person passed away in a very horrible accident. Sometimes the survivors will consider that undignified. They may consider it horrific. Then sometimes when we look at the result of the accident, the person was gone and hardly felt anything. So and we worry about what has happened. In my experience, I've seen many murders, and in cases of that, the families, when they see the person's remains, they are appalled at how they suffered. But again, the consciousness is sometimes knocked out of you very, very quickly. So what happens to the body? Most times the people are not. There are times as well where the death may occur, and it is happening in a manner that the person is very aware and very distressed. That could be considered undignified, but as much as possible, I encourage people to keep the person as comfortable as possible. As comfortable as possible. Sometimes we have the situation where people are traveling. In Trinidad we call it traveling, where they seem to have a dual consciousness. They're aware of us here, and they're aware of another awareness that we can't see or hear, and almost conversing with people in that other awareness. Does not tell us, friends, that there's more to life, and that when we cross over, we move from life to life. I was almost tempted to say we move from this life to real life, but that's another conversation. You can share your thoughts on any time, and we can talk about that. So those are some of the thoughts, and allow me to take a good gulp. As I see it coming through in the monitor in a second, but so those are some of the things. My thoughts on euthanasia. What are your thoughts on euthanasia? I'll answer you after you answer me. What are your thoughts? Put it on the monitor. Tell me what you think, and we'll talk about that, because I think we're getting near to the end. Technical staff, how far are we? We're there? Okay, so let's put your thoughts on euthanasia up very quickly because they're telling me we're near the end, and I want us to talk that before we end. I'm waiting to see it coming. Very interesting topic. You know, in some countries, legal, and I have known of one person who went to a country where it's legal to have it done. And that person very wisely made all solutions along the way and went to have it done. They were chronically ill for a long time and didn't want to be a burden. They were also quite aged and had euthanasia done. And they had a beautiful service, a beautiful ceremony, because so much was put in place up front and nicely planned. I'm waiting to answer the question, but I want to see your comments first. So, Death Cafe supporters, what are your thoughts on euthanasia? Anybody, share with me. Whether you're coming from a biblical perspective and you say that's the worst thing ever, or whether you're coming from a point of pure acceptance. What are your thoughts? So, I want to see what you're saying coming in, and because it's always a conversation. This Death Cafe is a conversation. It's not Keith coming and chat with you and get thirsty along the way. I want to see your comments coming in, and I will always read your comments. And I see one beginning to come in. It says, out there fully. I will read it up for you all and let you know what this person is thinking. Tell us where you are. Are you in Trinidad? Are you in anywhere on our home planet Earth? Tell us where you are as you put your thoughts in. You're saying, I agree with euthanasia if the individual is end stage and has made all necessary arrangements. And you're coming in from the USA. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I am with you. Euthanasia is something, once we make that decision, those we love should be so informed. They don't have to agree. They should be so informed. My view, however, is something set for the chronically ill, where medicine can hardly help the pain and suffering, where you have done all you can, because I believe we have been given this life to do all we can in this life. And as such, I would want to preserve it as long as possible. But however, if we have reached that end stage, and the end stage is a point where we are almost comatose, useless to ourselves, I'm okay. I will want to do euthanasia in such a circumstance, and I fully agree with it. And yeah, you don't have to agree or disagree. That's what the Death Cafe is about, sharing your opinion. If anybody out there think we are crazy to thought euthanasia as something that we will do, share your thoughts. Put an opposing thought into the mill, and let's see where we go with that. Because it's my body, it's my life, and it's the people I love. Do I want to burden them? Do I want to distress them? Sure, I may have the funds to support it, or no, I may not have the funds to support it, and I'm stressing their finances. So yes, I will want to say yes, I'll do it. But it's always in a legal setting, because you don't want to challenge those who survive, or somebody assist you with it, and then they want to talk about second degree, or in some here in Trinidad, it's murder. So it has to be, if you so choose that anytime, always look at the legal issues of it, because you do not want, by practicing euthanasia, it causes legal issues like police and homicide type issues to come up. Something to say. I have seen cadavers quite casually. As far as self-preservation is concerned, what are your thoughts on standards with COVID-19? I have not mentioned COVID-19 today at all. I was going to close on that topic, but thanks for asking, because we close on closing. And the world has told us as it went along, and this came out of Tobago. Hey, Tobago, I'm coming to Tobago tonight. And guess what? I'm stuck. I don't know how to get back out. I'm going to be stuck for a few days before I get out again. But Tobago is lovely, and I'll take the time to catch up with some work I have to do. Yeah, so our government here in Trinidad and Tobago and around the world, governments are sharing basically the same type of information as to how to manage COVID. Mask, you're not seeing me with my mask, but my technical staff around me are all in mask, and we wear masks all the time. Once we are together, we practice social distancing. Nobody can come into this room without using the hand sanitizers at the door. It's like the passport to get into the room. So, and I'll tell you what I do. When I'm finished working, firstly, when I arrive at work, I'm in the car by myself, I have no mask on, but the minute I step out, I put on my mask. I wash my hands before entering the building. I get up to my office, I have a steamer, and of course the janitorial staff has already steamed, but I'm not fussy. I steam again. Then I wash my hands again, and I settle down for the day. My desk is steamed, my chair is steamed, my phone is steamed, everything in the office steamed. And I like to use steam over chemicals. A nice good blast of steam does a good job as well. I'm not saying don't use the chemicals, but I prefer steaming. And when I leave the office through the day, I wash hands, and once people come into my space, they must wear their mask. I meet clients, I wash my hands immediately after. We're not shaking hands and stuff, but they may hand me something, and of course even that is disinfected. Recently a client gave me a CD with his personal songs he created for his wife's service, and as I stepped out of the room, I used Lysol spray and the CD and washed my hands. So you've got to practice it like that, because there are people you love and there are people who love you. And you do not want to be one of those who caused this pandemic to be any worse in our country or any country outside of Trinidad and Tobago. When I get home, I shower in an outside shower. I strip and shower. I put my clothes in a plastic bag to be taken into the house. I sanitize my shoe, external and internal, with a water bleach solution. And and I'll answer that question in a second. And I'm actually changing the color of my shoe by spraying it, but my shoe sanitized, it does not go in my house. It stays in the garage in a special place. After I shower, my wife will put my clothes in the outside shower for me. And my son says, he always reminds me, Dad, you do not come into this house until you shower. So I don't ever forget. And even at home, we take no visitors into our home during this period. I used to have some meetings from the office at home, no longer, no visitors until COVID is over. Somebody had to come to the door, yes, they stay at the door. If they had to deliver something, they place it in the garage. When we make groceries, everything goes into our mudroom and is sanitized before it gets into the house. And then we wash hands again. We play our role in keeping my family safe, and by extension, keeping you safe. I may sound extreme, but I think it's needed, because we learn so much about COVID. Look what's happening with the little children now, some variant of COVID-19. Let's all practice extreme safety. It keeps each one of us safe. You have seniors at home, keep them safe. The children are bored. Don't let them go out and play outside and come back into the seniors. If they do that, do it sparingly and some skinny schedule. And when they come in, have them shower before they come in the house. Clean the shoe. Use the same things I just suggested. It's nearly time. We're in a pandemic. Do you believe the disease should be cremated or buried? As a professional embalmer, yes, I'm an embalmer also. I'm in funeral service. I'm a qualified embalmer. Since 1974, I've embalmed thousands of people. As an embalmer, I say we can embalm our COVID deaths. As an embalmer, we understand the microbiology of the virus. We understand how to sanitize the human remains, and as such, we present that person for a normal funeral. I have coined a term called kiss and clean, that if we touch or kiss our deceased, the person is clean. Out of an abundance of caution, I will not encourage any family to touch or kiss a person I present for funeral service who has died of COVID. But I live in Trinidad and Tobago, and here, as a matter of caution, because we are learning so much about COVID-19, we practice cremation. In Tobago, we practice burial. Of course, the necessary PPEs are required for funeral staff and cemetery staff, because I will not, although if we were allowed to embalm, although embalming sanitizes, I still will not have encouraged my families to touch or kiss. I would allow them to come and view and have their private time as they say goodbye. But this COVID-19 practices here allows you minimal time. The social distancing and minimal crowds allows only 5 at the funeral, and we practice and honor that. And I take this opportunity to talk to funeral homes in Trinidad and Tobago. In your greed in allowing more than 5 people, I have pictures where I'm seeing 50, 60, in one case about 200 persons. One funeral home went and did a funeral at people's residence. God Lord, in your greed for money, public of Trinidad and Tobago, are those people you will trust with the health? Because you want to ensure you get a good funeral for the person? Listen, conform to the requirements. The funeral home tells you they will do it, pack up and walk out their door. Because what have they caused to endanger you? Who have they endangered in their staff? And you're in touch with them now that you might be in danger. They said, yes, they will do it, pack up and walk out their door. Go to a funeral home that will practice the requirements put down by the Ministry of Health here in Trinidad and Tobago for funerals here in Trinidad and Tobago. There should be no funerals at residences, none in churches. They are allowed at funeral homes or in cemeteries. 5 persons in attendance. Public of Trinidad and Tobago, honor that. We will stream for you, we will Skype for you, we will Zoom for you, we will plan a memorial service with you after COVID is over, where your friends and relatives can attend. But let's all play our role in keeping each and every one of us safe. We do not want this pandemic to hit us any more than it has. That brings us to the end. What is the date, please, of our next one? 2 Mondays from now. Send your thoughts in, we will have it, and I will have the list. I have not answered all your questions, so I have some openness for next week after. And so that as we get in ready to wind up, I want to say, stay COVID safe. Think about your own death. Think about the impending death of your family, friends, and relatives, and encourage them to talk about it. I saw a pack of cards where it invited people to talk about their memories, past memories. You know, in so many families, you know the story about the grannies and the youth of the grannies, etc. Talk about that. There's good family conversations that is not distressing as you do that. We have just a couple of minutes to go. We would be able to join you on the 25th of May at 11 a.m. Trinidad time. Put your questions into the chat for me, and I will make a list of it, and we will answer it next time. Friends, Death Cafe friends, stay safe. I look forward to chatting with you. Remember, chatting with you. Put your comments in as I talk with you next on the 11th of May. Bye, guys.